Well, this one's going to you. The reason why it's going to go to you is because you're going to give us the best commentary. So it does record video and audio, so you guys should be able to see me in there, right? I'm red, orange, and yellow. So everything around me should be somewhat blue or black. And with that said, those are obviously the colder areas. We're going to try to keep somebody's skin tone in view most of the time because we want that array of color. Because if I leave the screen, that red, orange, and yellow is actually going to go somewhere else. So we're going to try to keep a person in view at all times. It's also going to have a blue dot that bounces around, and it's going to give us the coldest spot in the frame at that specific moment. That blue dot will be on your video tomorrow. However, he does have a cheat sheet on the side and kind of gives them the high and the low temperature and a bar sense that will not be on your video. So when I'm going through it and spot checking this, I'm kind of watching that bar to see what's going, or I'm watching the blue dot to see what's actually going on and see if there's a major temperature difference. So you're going to keep this camera on your left-hand side at all times. We're going to do a couple of start and stops with this guy. When I say start and stops, the hardware is wonderful, the software sucks. I'm just going to put it out there. So
looking out like that?
No, you're going to be, so you can view it. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're going to be watching
Oh,
it.
that's the camera.
That's the camera. So the software, if we record for too long, we'll lose all footage. And I want you guys to be able to have something back. So let's continue.
I pointed Greg and I just get cold. No, it's Winston. It's cold. Wow. Wow. Oh, I'll shift. Oh, there's a cold heart.
More spirit boxes. Like I said, we're going to be using several tonight. So this one is going to sweep through the FM radio stations as well. However, I have two of these. One of them will record the session for us for the entire night. This one, however, will not. Of course, it started its record because it's just habit. The two people that actually get these two different types of spirit boxes will have earbuds. So only you will know what you're hearing. The one that records will all know what you're hearing tomorrow morning because I'm going to give you the full recording back. The reason why I do that is so that we all have something else to listen to. FM, AM, it doesn't really matter. I would tell you FM just gives us a stronger signal. Again, you guys are used to listening to this. I was doing an investigation for hours and hours and hours. That's the problem.
We got a big job here.
There's others that actually combine both of them, so you're actually listening to both of them at the same time.
Like when all those people walk by and I pointed at those people, you can see temperature gradients.
Again, for
it goes to an FM or something.
No, definitely not an FM. We just get more out of it that way. It's a stronger signal.
And if you point at Greg, you do get one temperature for the dog, one for his heart, and one for him.
So the other one's actually going to go to you. So you're going to have one of these as well.
I don't wear AirPods. So,
okay, fair enough. Any other takers? All right. So I'm going to hand you guys.
You don't wear earbuds?
No, I can't stand them. I wear headphones.
All right. Wow. I didn't realize you were that particular.
I've never worn them.
All right.
So the volume button into your... Yeah, it plugs into the right-hand side, and then the volume button is a wheel above where your radio stations are sweeping through. All right.
Give Mark something simple, like a stick, like a divining rod.
Yeah, I don't use those. Because it's all based on the person. That's why I go after the actual electronics. So, this one is pretty simple. This one is actually going to give us words in the center of the screen from time to time.
Winston is running over 100.
So, words from time to time in the center of the screen.
101,
right?
100.
And then it's going to save all of those words to a list. Okay, so how this is going to work is
And then you're like in the
actually
90s.
meant to be a game in a
It really does work.
80% of what comes out of this thing doesn't mean
Mark
anything.
is in the 40s.
So it's the other 5 to 20% that will give us specific terms related to a place where we're at, a location, and then a person I'm talking about history, or something going on with one of us. It happens all the time. Again, most of what comes out of this thing doesn't mean anything. However, you will still get the full list back, and the ones that are relevant, I'll highlight them, tell you why it's relevant, and then give you the link of where I got my information. So again, we're going to clear out last night's about 71 terms. We're going to start you guys off fresh. We already have their set. I automatically generated. So it's either coming from the app or the game we're playing.
You got the coolest toy.
I did. I'm the coolest boy.
So to keep things nice and simple for you.
What'd you get?
Winston there. So we need
Random
some kind
word
of EMF
generator.
detection, correct? These are pretty common on television.
Probably a good thing for a
this
lawyer.
one is just going to, make any kind of EMF detection based off of any kind of man-made object or anything that actually supernatural might be.
Your wrist is at
When I say
103.
man-made object, my cell phone is going to make it go into a rhythm or a pulse. We don't want any kind of pattern that we can actually make out. We want it to actually go erratic. This helps us debunk a lot of things that are about to happen tonight. So you can keep that even in your pocket if you have to. Okay. That's nice and simple. This one works a little bit differently. So with this one, the big numbers basically have the same type of measurements as what his has. Okay, so anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on. We're going to look for patterns and rhythms. The bottom number, this thing has actually been a little sensitive lately. We'll probably just end up shutting it off. It's supposed to measure ambient temperature, but in and out of my bag and handled so many times, the new one's on the way. But in the event we actually find something on the thermal imaging camera, we can debunk what's going on. But we'll turn that on if we actually need to.
Okay.
The last thing that it does, and I'll show you more about that at the first location, it's called a REM pod or motion meter. So if something gets close to the antenna, it will go off.
Okay.
So again, the closer it gets, the higher it's going to go. So if anything's actually nearby, we can use this as kind of a call and answer at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because it can be distracting when I'm talking to the full group. So it'll probably go off based on the battery. So again, anything above 2.5
Is what you want to know.
Yep,
Okay.
you got it. So some of your devices do not record something, so you'll see me writing things down in a little notepad to add into your analysis. It seems like everybody's got something in their hands, which is good because I am out of devices. Again, I only go to groups of 10, so everybody's kind of maxed out tonight. That spirit box that you have, I normally hand over to 2 people and make them listen to it together, so that way they can kind of verify what they heard. It's kind of nice that we have a party of 3 over here, so that's going to actually work out really nice. So, questions, comments, concerns thus far? Perfect. So let's talk about why we're here. So she's like, wait a minute, I had a question.
I had a question.
Go for it. What do you
How
got?
frequently am I doing this?
So I will always give you the cues. Most
Okay.
of you will get cues from me, especially spirit boxes, the louder ones,
Okay.
on when it's safe to use lasers, because again, it's not
Yes.
always a good place to be using lasers. But yeah, anytime on a major street, I'll always give you the cues, and your start and stop will kind of be a little bit more frequent.
Okay.
Only
Is it
because
the
we only
button
have
on
90 minutes. Yep, that's it right there. All right, Big John's, the place I asked you to meet me at, and where most of you want to be right now. So, it's named after a football player, 1947 New York Giants player, Big John Kennedy. This was his place. So he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. He has the bartender throw them out. So they leave pretty mad, and they come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's going on, gets up from the bar, starts pounding these guys into the floor, just beating the heck out of them. So a couple of shots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and ricochets and lands in the wall. John gets up after being shot. Winston doesn't like this story. After being shot, and he goes back to the bar, and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. So, nobody dies in that story. So what's haunting the place is the bullet hole. Allegedly, it's still here. They just did some renovations. I'll have to go back and check. People that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache, because of the paranormal activity that happens in the bar. We're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. If anybody feels any of those type of symptoms, I need to know immediately. I won't say that people have not passed out from this tour. It happens. Just a few weeks ago was probably the first instance I had in about a year. So I'll tell you what happened there, because it's definitely relevant to the person that was on the tour and the story that I told. So it's very eerie. So let's not think about our own health, because then people start wondering what the heck they actually signed up for when I say you can actually get headaches and a little queasy. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you haven't taken any kind of Charleston history tour, we all talk about it. This is allegedly where the first death occurred. The mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed him. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of the East Space Station. Notice I said apparently and allegedly a lot. I don't have any proof of that story. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, especially when. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Sure.
Do I talk too much?
Nope.
Hold on, we're due.
Did you ghost hunt in Youngstown or only in Charleston?
I won't say only in Charleston. I started in Myrtle Beach, and it
Okay.
kind of spread out. Like I do a lot of locations in the Pittsburgh area.
Nancy, you're looking really hot right now.
See anything abnormally cold there, Paul?
Nope.
How old is Winston?
He'll be 2 in next month, I think, like in a year and a half.
Okay, so still pretty young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's looking
When we
at
get-
colleges. That's why he's here.
That's cool. Oh, he's in the right town for it. All right, welcome to the Big Red Barn lot. You guys are going to find that a lot of the places we go to aren't your touristy trap type places. This is a great practice area. This is where you guys can get used to your devices. We're not going to be here long. It's literally a one-line piece of history just so you guys can get used to your stuff. This is where we keep your horses for your aerodromes. Okay, so you guys can probably smell those colors. I'm not going to sit next to me. I'm sure Winston can smell them. I can't smell horses anymore. The only history here is really simple. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So 1860s to 1920s, approximately. So let's talk about spirit boxes, because we do have 4 of them in use tonight. And I say 4 because I usually use even more than that, depending on
Where's the cold
where
spot?
I'm at. Spirit boxes,
What do you
this is
think?
not television. This is not, is somebody here? Because if somebody answers no, somebody's here. That's how that goes. We're going to stay away from yes and no questions all night long. There's always a way to reword a question. With that said, you're going to ask questions in this location that you already know the answers to, just so you can get used to your device.
We're already leaving next door. Why do you think it's cold there?
Maybe it's the shrubs.
What?
It's the shrubs.
Shrubs?
Yeah. Whereas the asphalt is still. Science.
No, we saw a cold spot.
Cold spot. Come on.
Oh, see, I wasn't.
Where are you on the word
Did
list?
you guys figure it out?
We think it's the shrubs.
That's 10 words.
Well, hang on, we're not going to get there yet. I'm making a point. So, and let's say the word list actually gives us the word art. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. That's what it normally requires to include. We're going to be talking about older times, right? A couple hundred years ago. A lot of the same names. That's the way these stories are going to work tonight. A lot of Eliza, a lot of Georges, you know, that kind of mentality. We need to know who the heck we're talking to. So that's why we're going to be going after questions like what we're doing now.
See, look
Spirit
at that.
boxes in labor.
It's like this big cold spot. And we were trying to figure out what it was.
Me first, so that way I can show them more tactics with their devices, and then I jump straight into the millimeter. So I'll be jumping into you in just a second. Spirit boxes, go ahead and turn them up. Get used to how they sound, and start, basically getting used to it and what it actually sounds like and what you're getting at. Cameras, I want you to stay with me for just a few minutes, and then I'm going to bounce around everybody else. So, your camera, what I'm looking for, somebody down there. Not directly down. I'm looking at it. Anywhere 3 to 5 feet away, kind of filming it so we have a point of reference. So if something does come through it, we're going to hopefully be able to capture that. You can use them both simultaneously. Crossing the stream does nothing. You want to kind of keep them
Have them
side by
separate like this?
You've got it.
Okay.
Perfect. So again, the slower you both move, obviously the easier it's going to be to be able to find things in there. As far as the rest of what's going on inside your frame, I'm looking for things in the darkness. So you're going to see like 2 purple spots, right? So this one is obviously doing a long range up here at the top. This one is doing a short range. So if something gets close, you can obviously shut this guy off and the long range is still working.
Look where I'm at. Go focus across my hand. Because I'm getting little red dots here. You see any like cold spot out there?
No.
See how it's
The only
like-
cold spot I'm seeing here is kind of weird. It's like, you see the windows?
Yeah.
I've got one that's blue and the rest are red.
Yeah.
So that one with the vent on it is blue.
Air conditioning coming
And then
out.
over here, It's also blue. But
All right, let me show you some more things about your camera and why I want somebody in there at all times. Come over this way for a second.
okay,
All right, so go ahead and point your camera directly at the wall,
okay,
and it should bleed out to mainly one color. We're on a cold metal door. That's probably a bad example. Because normally what I'll do, the wall will be red, and I'll put my hand in there, and then it'll turn blue.
right.
You know,
No, it's
obviously.
the opposite. Blue to
Right.
heat to your hand, right?
Right. So it's, you know, obviously you're
So
looking.
you want to have a body of some sort that's 98
any
degrees
kind of
in
skin
there.
tone would be perfect.
Okay.
Also, that blue dot will automatically default to the sky when it's in the frame because it doesn't know what to measure. It's going to be the coldest thing out there, so it's going to look out into the sky trying to find something to measure, and it is going to be colder up the higher, you know, because it's
Well, like
nighttime.
I was looking at this building, right? And most of the windows are red, except for the one is blue. So it was just, no, I'm not seeing it with
Well,
our bodies there, but
But the point I'll make
Yeah.
is those windows
Uh-huh.
don't have any glass in them.
uh-huh,
This has metal.
yep. So that's why it's colder.
Exactly.
Got it.
You got it. And it cannot see through glass either. All right, where's that millimeter? Perfect. You find the... Oh, no. Yeah, we got some.
Can't make out what the voice is saying.
Yeah, and I have it as slow as I
Patricia.
can set it.
No. Oh my God.
You should just
I need to
start
take
now.
that picture of that. Here. Do that again.
You can take a picture on your
You got
camera?
the thermometer?
Any little
that
thing you
thermometer
can
there?
make.
Millimeter.
Millimeter.
It's going to be hard.
It's music.
Yeah, it's the radio.
So it's just going.
It's your
Yep,
bride.
The only button you need to
Blowing
worry
a
about is
kiss.
up here. You don't need to hit anything else.
Wow.
And
We'll have
it's
to delete
revealing
that.
you just moved. Because the other one will shut it off. Anything you can make out.
This is my
Onto
100-foot
the
water
millimeter.
line
Let's pull you
replacement.
over here.
All right.
So, has this number moved at all?
Not since I walked over.
Okay.
There it was
Okay. And I haven't looked at the other one that he's got. Like, he's getting a little bit of movement. His only goes to 25.
It's a
This
new
one,
barn
seems
picture.
like
Did I show you that one?
No.
In a new farm picture?
That's why I like to use this
That's
one
the
for
pickleball
accuracy.
court.
He's just kind of like a debunking tool at this point.
Okay.
Over there.
It's the most simplest thing I could.
We've got our driveway wall in, our plantings.
Yep.
That's actually looking the other direction.
Snow?
No, it's just that's the color with the full moon of the sunset on the driveway. That
No.
was
Flip
pretty
the
cool
full
looking.
The flap is only going to go so far.
more places where I got
Buttons underneath
issues.
the flap.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So there's two little white buttons. The one closest to the edge is the one you want.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and click it into place. Give it a little beat.
Okay.
You got to click it into place.
Down.
Yep.
Stays down.
You got it. Perfect. Flip it over. Now you did actually hit a hold button by accident, so
Okay.
your EMF isn't going to work all.
Okay.
Let me shut it off and then turn it back on. Now just hold it till you're fine. So what's happening now that the antenna's up and that little white button is pushed in is there's two things going on. So you have an EMF that is being measured here, and there's a separate type of EMF being generated on this guy. So if something gets close to this, it's going to make those beeping noises and show you a color.
Okay.
Now, in the event that it's from your movement, because you turn around too quick or you're walking too fast, it's going to go off. So there's a way to reset it to make sure it's not your movements. There's 4 buttons over here. It's the very bottom one. You almost want to have your thumb at the ready on that all the time, just to make sure it's not your movements.
Okay.
So these
So if
can
it
work.
starts going off, I need to press that one.
Yeah, just to make sure it's not you. Now, these two do work independently, so you can have a reading here and not here, and vice versa.
Okay.
So just so you kind of.
Carly said she's going to Nashville for New Year's. Did you see that?
Well, she said she's thinking. Like what college friends is she talking to?
Judge Zia. I don't know.
Not a college friend.
Oh, college friends. Right, who was college friends?
You know, she already kind of told me this already. It's, you know, those kids we were hanging out with at graduation.
It's actually definitely
You know,
relevant to
probably Olivia.
Olivia Quinn.
pops up right now.
Yeah, Olivia Urso.
You get another clue wrapped around that leg. Definitely lets you know what's going on with that. All right. Spirit glasses. All right, guys. I say we go learn some real history. Let's go over this way.
Let's go.
I have a question.
Yes.
I can stand here and get red dots, but if she walks in front of me, the red dots go off. So I'm thinking something over there. So
Coming from there, you would be able to walk up to that building, and the red dot would be stop. So not flipping into the
so
light.
you almost got to see it.
Again, they're not on the payroll. I can't tell them what to do.
Oh my God, it was a ghost that touched me. With the antenna. Oh my God. It's like a creepy collie. Yeah.
So I think this is where we meet our tour on Tuesday.
Oh, our carriage?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
If you make it till
If we
Tuesday.
make it.
I mean,
We get through this night.
that's a big if. I mean, we have a ghost store. These ghosts are not, you know, certified ghosts. Like, they could be really abnormal, paranormal, and they could attack us and kill us. In fact, I'm picking up some real weird activity right now.
Yeah, the fun visuals.
Yeah. Oh, I saw it through infrared. I got it. I keep getting this Bill Murray picture. I don't know what's causing it. I keep getting a Gene Levy right here.
Alright, so welcome to another beautiful side of Charleston, everybody. Yes, parking lot. So if you don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you, you got issues I probably can't help you out with. So, this place used to be something. This used to be the home to the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this lot facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was pretty much lined up with this tree right behind me and went all the way across the backyard. And then the servant and slave quarters were in the back where we saw all the glass. So normally I actually take you back there so you kind of have the whole view of the whole land. But this is a very interesting plot of land. First off, I want to let you spirit box folks know I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color was George Washington's white horse. This is not, you're going to get the answers from your spirit box. You're not going to know the answers. And no, I'm not going to tell them to you until right before we leave, if you did not get them. So, who the heck were Eliza and Charles Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses in case you lost track. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but you guys are all on vacation, and I don't want to talk about politics either. So, let's talk about Eliza. She was way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age. I'm not going to tell you how old she was, but I will tell you that Charles was over double her age. So that kind of gives you the big age gap between the two of them. She married him because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. Instead, Eliza got married to Charles in the 1740s. Now, she didn't marry him for a green card. There was no such thing as citizenship yet. 1740s. She did marry him out of love, and she was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he lived, and he started sending her gifts over from England to this plot of land. What one of those gifts happened to be was the plant indigo. You guys have been here for at least a day. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye, that makes blue jeans blue. That's how we still use it today. So, once she started experimenting with it right here in her garden, she figured out that our temperatures are way too cold for this indigo. She had to learn from her servants how to keep it going. Once she figured it out, it probably took a good year, she started making a cash crop up in Mount Pleasant, just north of here. She calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Can you give me some contacts to be able to sell this? So, he does, and now we have an international businesswoman in colonial times, before the country even started. This is huge for us. So, that's just touching the tip of the iceberg of what she's actually done for this country. Let's go into the weird facts about Eliza so you guys can get started investigating. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. So, he married one Eliza, she died, then he marries this Eliza who starts planting indigo. They both, ironically, have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I don't think I need to explain what a maiden name is to this group. This is going to be nice tonight. So, you should be surprised. Most people go straight for that middle name. What was your middle name? So there's one weird little fact and oddity about, the two Elizas. We need to know who we're talking to.
Lucas, right? Eliza Lucas.
Are you Googling over there?
I am, absolutely.
Put it away.
Killing me, Smalls.
All right. Hey,
But the other
I'm sorry.
other one was Landon, and I didn't Google that.
The other one was what?
Landon.
No.
No?
No.
So much for the word machine.
Indigo, though, I'm catching that.
Put it away.
No, it's
So,
good. He's
the
good.
mansion. It's not
Nick
here
is
anymore.
good. Eliza and
Find out
Charles.
what happened to the mansion and when that tragedy happened. I'll give you the clue that yes, it was a tragedy. So pick one. You're probably going to hear some clues around it. I'm not saying pick one now.
Okay.
As far as the children go, tread lightly. I already told you there's at least one. Okay? Find out how many there were. Maybe get their names, how many boys, how many girls. Leave it alone. There's a tragedy among those children that if we poke the bear with that whole mentality, then we're going to lose all activity if we have anything going on, which so far we've gotten an EMF or an EMF spike. So that's a good sign. Eliza's death. Ask anything you want to. Eliza, how old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what U.S. president took you to your grave as a pallbearer? So these are very definitive questions. Obviously not yes or no questions. If you go rogue with your own questions and get answers, please let me know what those questions are so I can see if they can be verified. Again, go after things I can prove. Anything relating to slaves and who actually served the home, there's no records. I can't prove any of it. So just kind of keep that in mind. I think that about covers the basis to get you guys started with this. So again, I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you. As far as those of you with cameras, definitely go ahead and get your camera started. People do not like their cars being filmed. If somebody's coming up to their vehicle, simply go the other way. Imagine if it's your own vehicle. Lasers can set off car alarms. No pressure. You want to keep them on the ground, away from vehicles. I don't like to run with 9 other people. It's never fun. I'm the guy with the backpack. I'm last. So, I know, right? So, let's spread out. Let's see what's going on with these spirit boxes.
You say, like, so if I say, Eliza, what color was your hair when you died, or something like that, is that something that I
It was
told you
gray.
that I asked, or...
If somebody actually gets an answer out of it, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Your device is not going to be able to tell you what color her hair was. You guys want to see what she looked like before you guys get started? Would that give you a better visual?
Sure.
Even though somebody's already Googling who she was. But yeah, I definitely want to know if you're getting definitive answers from questions.
And the answer would come from the word list.
The
right?
word list and the spirit boxes.
Okay.
All
okay,
those
I got
spirit
it. I'm a little
boxes.
slow tonight. I got it.
This is Eliza.
Mm-hmm.
Why it just went black and white, I have no idea. But she is wearing a blue dress, and yes, she had dark hair.
Okay.
So this would have been her after her husband passed away.
But before
Charles
she died.
But before she died, correct. So, that is Eliza. So that should give you an idea of what she looked like.
I'm all over this. I got Eliza figured out.
I love having jokesters on the tour.
You gave me this box
It's
because
my
you said
favorite.
it was a jokester thing.
It's my absolute favorite. Yeah, let's definitely get those spirit boxes up. Is your REM pod on, like the motion sensor? The little white button?
Anytime I can bust the chops of a kid from Youngstown, I want to do that.
Yeah, you're good. It's on, for sure. Just wanted to make sure you're good to go. And what other... any other points come up?
Eliza died of cancer. She had 4 children. I did. Eliza died of a dog bite. Small dog, bit her leg. He got infected. Eli-
getting like,
Eliza died of a dog bite. Small dog, bit her leg, got infected on the plantation.
look, pick up the ghost right here in the car. I'm not picking up anything.
That's a car, Greg. You're getting a red dot.
It's kind of kooky.
Hello, little guy. You gonna go to sleep? Yeah. I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, it's calling. Can we get farther away?
You guys with the spirit box, do you want me to ask a question for you?
Yeah.
Do you see anything over here, Paul?
Well, I can see your hand raised out because it's a hot spot away from your body, but the device doesn't do anything.
So there's like a cold spot around?
No, no. There's a cold spot way over there against the wall.
What's the highest you've seen on that? Gone all the way up to red already?
Twice. I mean, like double red.
You're at 108 though, Greg.
It went up to 16 when it's not here.
Okay. I've seen, in this lot, I've seen it go as high as 149. That's the highest spike I've seen in here.
What does a millimeter measure?
So,
Paranormal activity, Tricia. Come on. I have a big blue area here, but then I have a big red area over there, which is probably the cement pad.
What's another good question? What color was your house?
How old was she when she died?
tell me. Way older than that.
Way older. She had 4 kids. Come on.
Okay, that's the only number I've heard.
28? Well, that would be her birthday. December 28th, 1722.
What year?
1722.
Oh no, that's right. I parked here this morning.
So you did hear the number 28. It's definitely relevant. You'll see if the word December pops up, or birthday, or anything along those lines among the other boxes too.
333.
This feels like an investigation led by a lawyer trying to find facts about an antitrust case. No?
I don't know.
Those are more scientific.
I got Carter. I wonder who Carter was.
Carter? I could Google Carter. It might have been one of her 4 kids.
Maybe.
Mention it to him. Might have been the president. Oh no, that would have been much later. She's dancing. She thinks it's like
Might keep climbing.
I'm not hearing anything on there.
Isn't it supposed to be rotating around different channels, or is it
Can you
just
hear
one
anything?
Yeah, I can hear.
It's the
Yeah.
radio.
It's just a lot of
like,
staticky stuff.
Nancy's listening to
No, they said one number, 28, and he said that was her birthday. I heard the number 28. I'm like,
Nancy's listening to the Sprockets, German Kraftwerk music,
Like that.
the Sprockets. And now we dance. When does this end?
We better find something really weird fast. It's gonna lose the crowd.
I don't hear a thing.
She actually heard the number 28, which is definitely relevant. I'm waiting for her yet another clue to verify and solidify that. But 28 is definitely relevant. She thought it had been the age that she died. It was not. With your agreement, go ahead and leave it on, just so you know. It does turn. You want to try to keep as many dots as possible. It just gives more opportunities instead of trying to leave it out and get bigger dots.
That's how I feel with Eliza.
I don't see anything more than the people.
Any significance to Carter?
Not to my knowledge. It doesn't mean I won't dive into it in the morning. There are things that pop up from time to time. I'm like, I have no idea what it is, but I'm going to still look at it.
Ooh.
Come on. You want me to lie to you?
Yes.
No, not going to happen. Definitely not going to happen.
It went off over there, but I pressed the wait button.
That's not going to happen.
You won't lie to me. I got drowned
She
on
has-
my word
She's
generator.
got 4 sons.
I was hoping for a good
4
story.
sons. Charles Coatsworth, George Lucas, Thomas, and Harriet Pinckney. George Lucas Pinckney, his father, died soon after he was born, but nobody named Carter. Charles Coatsworth Pinckney was a signatory of the Constitution and the Federalist VP candidate in 1800. Elizabeth Lucas Pinckney died of cancer in Philadelphia in 1793, but nobody named Carter. There are no drownings.
Okay.
What's that say?
Metaphor.
Oh, metaphor. She was a South Carolina botanist.
Metaphor was?
No, Elizabeth Pinckney.
So why are you always picking on the guys from Youngstown?
Well, why not? Why
There's a
not?
reason why we all leave.
Oh, come on. Come on. You a Browns fan or Steelers fan, though?
I'm not a sports fan.
Oh, my goodness. It's a
At
good
all.
year to be a Browns fan.
Wouldn't know any different. I'm the book nerd. I don't have time for sports.
All right. Nothing, just people.
That's why we film it. Because we never know what's going to pop up out of there. It's much easier to watch when it's on your TV or computer.
Right. Use some artificial intelligence to pull out the differences. Come on, Indigo girl.
Okay.
What do you got, Trisha? Beeping. What?
You finding any cold spots?
No, just whenever I pass a car, they're cold compared to people.
You hear, Eliza, that makes the black box coat.
What did Eliza say?
Kind of a stretch. See if something else pops up out of that. Just like your number 28. See if we can get a 12 or, in a year.
They went to bed for the...
Any other terms come up?
Nothing significant.
I'm getting all the cold spots on the cars. Cars are cold, people are hot.
Partly cloudy.
Oh,
I
well.
heard him say partly cloudy Monday.
That might be Joe DiNardo from Pittsburgh. Partly cloudy.
Your spirit box? Anything come up out of yours? It's hard to listen to.
It is, yeah.
Who sings that song, Baby You're a Firework? What's her name? Keep hear him say Jesus.
It's a lot of good fun, like weather mist and I have like a couple red salads. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah, yeah. We got platform.
Josh Gordon, another ghost.
Terrible. There she is, purple. She made it go purple. You got purple? Oh, over here, Elijah. Make call turn purple.
Alright, let's get everybody hooked up.
Alright, Pop.
Come up to this corner up here. Chains?
Yeah.
You got a little dark on them.
Not us.
Alright, so I guess we should start with what actually happened to the mansion. So the mansion did catch fire in 1861 from the Great Fire of 1861. Every tour guide you guys meet is going to talk about some type of fire that we had and whatever year it happened in. This one was pretty big. It actually started up the street at where the Harris Teeter is now, came down this way, took out half the mansion, and then literally went to the other side of the peninsula. So this fire was huge. This is a picture of where we're standing. This is the mansion. It's the only picture we have of the mansion. There's nothing before it. So again, pretty devastating damage. But again, we heard the word firework. However, we don't have anything else that kind of relates to that. And the explanation of like why I gave like why that might be relevant is, what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, right? So Rudolph the nosed reindeer is not needed. We just need the word red. Your spirit boxes are slowed down. They're going to pick up words before and after. I'm always looking at what's the whole phrase, but I'm also looking at what are the words in individual words. So that's what happened to the mansion. That was almost 70 years after Eliza's death. Eliza died in 1793 at the age of 70.
Wow.
So, yes, very long time for somebody to be living during those times. She died from breast cancer. It's 1793. We have no idea what breast cancer is. We're going based off of her medical records. So kind of keep that in mind. This was in Philadelphia. She was up there trying to get treatments for whatever they thought she had, and she died. That's also where she's buried. So, to answer your question, are we actually going to be going through cemeteries? First off, Charleston's one giant cemetery based on the amount of war, famine, and fires that we've had. But most people, like, when you guys are dead and gone, you're not going to be hanging out near your grave. I don't get a ton of activity from cemeteries at all. Normally, you're going to be visiting your mansion in Charleston 400 miles away. So, kind of keep that in mind. The president that was the pallbearer at her funeral. Any guesses now that you guys know what year? 1793?
Adams.
No.
Jefferson.
No.
Washington.
Washington.
Oh, really?
Yes, at his own request. He wanted to be a pallbearer at her funeral. So, there's George number 1. So we'll kind of see what comes up with the other Georges. The kids, there's 4 of them. So somebody already looked it up, correct?
Mm-hmm.
There were 4. Charles, signed the Constitution, so that was his significance. There was Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle just south of here called the Battle of Camden, where he got shot in the left leg, and it left him on a cane the rest of his days. So we do have the word leg that showed up at the Big Red Barn, but I was waiting for one of you to come up with the name Thomas to kind of verify that. We don't have that. I may get it in the review tomorrow morning. Baby George didn't make it. That's the tragedy I asked you guys not to poke the bear with. George, his death certificate has the same month and year in the birth and death column. We don't know if the child was weeks or days old. There's also no grave for this child. Now, talking to a guest last week, he was going to be getting back to me based on the religious portion of the Pinckney family. It is a good significance that they could have kept the baby mummified in the home and then transferred the body of the infant to Philadelphia to be buried with the mother. So, kind of a creepy thing to us today. However, that would have been a religious rite back then. So take that for what it's worth. One more child, her name was Harriet, the only daughter. She actually lived in the Myrtle Beach area because she married in Horry. Myrtle Beach is in Horry County. 2 prominent families married into each other. This wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride to go see her daughter. Lots of letter writing. I look for words when Harriet does pop up: ink, paper, pen, published. All of those letters were published into one volume. So it's interesting to kind of get, tidbits of how their life actually was back then by reading those letters. Eliza Lucas Pinckney, obviously, was the name of the one planting the indigo. And then Eliza Lamb Pinckney was the first wife. Also, did anybody ask about the marriage and how old they were? Nobody did? I don't think anybody did. I was kind of paying attention. Eliza was 22 when Charles was 45. So we did get the number 28. Why is that significant? That was Eliza's birthday, December 28th, 1722. So I'm going to be looking for the word December or the number 12 to kind of signify 1228. Let's see, what else did we get? There was something that we did here. Fireworks, 28. You guys heard a bunch of things about kids. You guys had babies and child. And then our highest spike on the EMF was at 16.
Yeah, around there.
Okay. So again, significant things, but again, it's a little lighter than what I normally see. I'm definitely going to have to go through the Spirit Box recordings in the morning to see what I find. It's a lot easier to hear when you're sitting at your desk without all the extra outside noise, which is why I started using earbuds for y'all now. Before it was just all open air and it was all static through the Pinckney Mansion, so everybody was kind of riding over each other. So what's going to happen from here is we're actually going to walk up East Bay Street to Lodge Alley. It's about 3 blocks away. We're going to legitimately haunted locations. Spirit Box folks, I do want you to listen to them. Listen for names. I'm not going to give you what names or what gender. Just let me know what names you hear, if any, once we get there, and I'll tell you the significance. Both videos, you can both take a break, so you guys can shut your videos off if you'd like. Once we get... It froze again?
Froze again.
Wow. Okay.
3:33. 8:52 is
8:52. Nothing significant there. But we'll definitely I'll reset you along the way. Once we get down there to Lodge Alley, let's get a little bit of footage once we're in the alley and kind of see what's going on in there and see how that's going to go. I'll give you the quick history of that spot, and then we'll keep moving on. Lasers are a no-go on East Bay Street. My apologies, you're a little bit out of the game for a little while, just because we don't want to get arrested. There is a laser law in Charleston. I know it's weird.
Wow.
So, yep, it happens.
What's the incident there?
With the lasers?
Why are they outlawed specifically?
I don't know, but I would tell you I would probably end up in jail and have a ticket.
Yeah.
If you started shining lasers on the cars.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, any other questions about the Pinckneys I can answer before we move on? All right, let's do this. Let's go up to Lodge Alley. Everybody watch your step. It's 1 up, 3 down.
It was a spirit box. Very baritone spirit box. Or bassy.
Okay, I thought he was running. For a moment.
This is the market packed with people
Oh, this is the market.
during the day.
Straw stuff.
Right. And straw stuff.
I did like it. I thought it was a good dinner. I mean, it was awfully pricey. They tried to put on a show for you, but it's a good piece of cow.
Oh, Barry, I don't care if you get you won this week, so I didn't expect that. But hey, I'm always
Kind of lift.
I think we should separate
The next place looks very haunted to me.
Rock haunted. This is where Darius Rucker was singing the other night. High Cotton. According to our realtor, he was at the bar. Yeah, they're closed though.
Yeah, in fairness.
Opening in December, they said. Rats.
Anything along the way? Nothing. Again, those spirit boxes are difficult to listen to. Any names on the word list?
Barry.
Barry.
Manilow.
That would be a negative. No other names?
Gianna.
No.
Amanda.
Amanda's relevant later
Amanda, no, though, and that came up earlier.
on. Okay. So that's definitely not relevant.
That came up at 9:49.
so welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. Let me tell you what's going on in here. When we crossed that last crosswalk coming over, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. This is one of the first streets we ever had. That's the reason why I like to come down here. Not many tours do, which is why I like to bring you guys here. So with that said, why I asked for names is because I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. The interesting thing about that list of names is I get the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks in the same night. Those names happen to be Benjamin and John. Yeah, you could probably get a bunch of stuff from the hotel. You could probably shut it off.
All right.
I was wondering how sensitive it was going to be down here tonight. But Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. I know that those sound like very common names, but that's 2 out of 5 people that lived down here during that time frame in 1801. And when I get the same names over and over and over again, that's more of what we call a residual ghost. Pretty much they're doing the exact same thing. They might not know that they're actually dead. And again, I will get other clues around this place, but those are the 2 most common things. This is called Lodge Alley because this is where the Freemasons had their Masonic Lodge in Charlestown. So, makes sense, right? That's also Lodge Alley Inn, named after the alley. The terms I normally get around the Masonic Lodge, Freemason, clay, because that's the kind of brick you're walking on, the word brick itself, and I've even had Illuminati show up from time to time. So again, you never know what's going to come up out of this alley. It just kind of helps give you a layout of the land based on what's going to happen throughout the rest of the tour. They did find some of the people that lived here, their stuff underneath these clay bricks. They did an archaeological dig, tools, silverware, little bits of their clothing. They did classify these people as lower class. Makes sense, little tiny shotgun houses down here. The other side of the wall was across East Bay Street on the other side of where we were walking. The smell of low tide would have been coming through here quite often. People of higher in the hierarchy are not going to be living down here with the smell of low tide. So again, makes complete sense. And when I give you that list of names, if something does come up that's relevant, you'll see what these people's occupations were, and it'll start to make more sense once you see that list of names. What's going to happen from here is we're going to walk through the rest of the alley, and we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to the right. We're going to be going up to Philadelphia Alley, so I'll be kind of stopping there to kind of tell you what goes on in that alley. We won't go all the way through it. I'm the guy that got kicked out. I'll explain once we get there. By the way, I do want to tell you, when we were at Pinckney Mansion site, I did do a little subliminal messaging for you. When we got there, I told you I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. That was the answer to who was the pallbearer at Eliza Pinckney's funeral. Okay. So you guys all passed with a fail. Good job. So when we get up to Philadelphia Alley, after that, we're going to be diving into a female pirate over at the Powder Magazine. That'll be a full-on investigation like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion, but if you're into pirates, this is a very, very odd story, and it has a lot of twists and turns. So if you're into pirates, this is going to be for you for sure. But yeah, let's go check out Philadelphia Alley. Again, if you guys want to keep filming, you can. However, we're just going to be walking until we get around the... I was waiting for the thing in there. Literally hanging in there. So, behind me stands Philadelphia Alley. It's named Philadelphia Alley because it's one of the cities that helped us out of one of our many, many fires that I mentioned earlier. Can you pump the camera out? You see how I did that? Just watch it roll. There you go, perfect. So, it used to be called Builder's Alley. So, this is where our duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. We all talk specifically about one duel because we can actually prove that it actually happened. So there was a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I can't believe that's froze twice, by the way, in the same spot. Joseph Brown Ladd moves here because his fiancee Amanda, where's the word list? That's why I was kind of saying, okay, that's relevant later. What do we got? Oh, that's awesome.
It's a rat.
It's a rat.
Oh, God.
It's moving.
He's moving.
It didn't bite it like that.
Right.
All right, I say we go across
Let me
the
see if
street.
I get the heat from the rat.
Watch the bike. We're going to go across the street. I'll tell the
Yeah,
story
yeah.
around the corner.
Oh, no, it moved. Yeah, I thought I saw it move.
I think it was light, not dark.
Tune is go, lassie, go, and we'll all go together. The wild mountains.
Oh my God.
It's pretty crazy that you get to shoot first. I always thought that they
I'm so scared. If you saw
I would never challenge somebody to do it. That's a good little distance too.
is it too fast?
Well, we don't go there.
So guys, I need definitely to be very targeted. Accurate.
I think there are ghosts coming too.
Now you guys see why I like to stop over there. Because this is a very popular corner. But behind you is where Philadelphia Alley is now. And the cool thing is from this angle, if you look behind you, that's the wall. There's a doorway right in the middle. I told you that that used to be called Builder's Alley. The reason why that doorway is there is because it was a shortcut to take the loser, the dead guy, over to the cemetery by cutting across this courtyard. So again, I call it the death gate, so call it what you will. But the doctor, he's supposed to get married to his fiancee Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney handling the money for her, and the attorney tells Amanda to send the doctor away, that he's just after her cash. So the doctor moves to Charleston to try to prove that he's not just after Amanda's money. When he comes into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. Not a very good start to his stay in Charleston, but that's basically what happened. Somebody walking by sees what's happening. His name is Ralph Isaacs. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. RI actually means something when you're using it in the equipment that you guys have. Did it freeze again?
No.
Oh. So he says, I have some friends at 59 Church Street. Let me take you down there and you can rent a room. Takes him down there, to become friends. Get Ralph and the doctor. The doctor starts making a ton of cash. Practice is doing well. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the whistling doctor. Every haunted city has a whistler. Ours just happens to be a doctor. So they go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money than Ralph. So that's just the hierarchy of the way things went. So they talk about these plays on the way home when they used to go see plays together instead of sitting next to each other chatting about what's going on. So one night they're talking about William III and the new actress that was in town. The doctor loves the new actress, Ralph does not. The argument ensues, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. Obviously it gets very ugly and they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here, which means he goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city what he thinks of the doctor, and the doctor sees the ad, rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley, we're going to settle this. So, they come down, they take the 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph, however, has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Sorry, so the doctor didn't die and come through the death gate. Instead, he's carried home to 59 Church Street, which, by the way, we're on Church Street now, so it's right up the road this way. So he takes him up there. The doctor dies 10 days later after refusing medical, service of any kind, and he's unable to heal himself. So he died from a gangrened leg and probably a lot of bleeding out. Now, the interesting thing about the story is as you walk through the alley, they say you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Keep in mind, we're going to debunk some of these things for you right now. A lot of the locals know the story. Anybody walking down Cumberland or Queen is going to throw a whistle down the alley, including me. Every night on my way back to my garage, I throw a whistle down the alley just to have fun with it. Again, I'm the guy that got kicked out because you guys joined the annoying group with all your gizmos and gadgets and blinky lights, and the new neighbor does not like you going all the way down to the edge, which technically we're not supposed to go. These other large groups, again, keep my group smaller. You've seen how large they can get. They take up the space that you're allowed to take up in there. It doesn't give you guys the opportunity to actually investigate, which is why I don't like to go all the way down there with you. Instead, we still get terms and phrases up here that will be related to that specific story because we're only half a block away. Now, any other words come up on the word list over there that might be relevant to like maybe one of the other 15 stories in this corner?
Reward, happen, Salaram, cross, saint, trace, print, try, fever, turn.
No. Besides cross. It's the only one that I can think of because we are close to a church. Usually when we come up to St. Philip's, we get some kind of religious term. We'll probably see more than one based on your other spirit boxes as well. So the story that they are all telling up there, I will kind of give you that one. And then we'll go dive into Anne Bonny across the street. Every ghost tour stops at that gate. I'm going to point out that there's two different sides to the gate at the cemetery. So the side that we're sitting on is the eastern side. This is for native Charlestonians only. So Eliza Lucas's husband, Charles, he's buried on this side. He's from here. However, Eliza wouldn't be if she were buried in Charleston. She would probably go to the other side for everybody else. The history buff, John Kaufman is buried on the other side. You can visit his sarcophagus during the daytime when it's actually open. They usually keep this side closed because they're trying to keep, obviously, the ancient things going on and keeping it intact. The other interesting thing about that side is that William Rhett is actually buried right there on the edge. You get to walk by and actually touch his sarcophagus. He is the captain that actually captured Steve Bonnet, where they hung him and his men on White Point Garden. Steve Bonnet and his men were pirates. So it was a warning to all other pirates that Charleston does not condone piracy. So his grave is right there. Of the story that they're telling, I'll kind of go through that once they pass through. You good? Come on through.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You've got a puppy on your tour.
Yes.
That's exciting.
That is a ghost hunting tool right there.
Who was it? Excuse us.
You're good, you're good. So the story that they're telling is on the other side of the fence, that gate, there's a sign. It reads, there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. Because they don't want guys like me pointing my cameras in the gates trying to recreate what I'm about to tell you. 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. As corny and cheesy as it sounds, her initials, because we are dealing with ghost hunting, SHH, Sue Howard Hardy. So, she dies in 1888, 6 days after her stillborn child. 1987, a local photographer is in town taking pictures of all of our beautiful cemeteries. He does capture a full apparition over that grave of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. The picture's cursed. He sends it to Kodak to try to debunk what's going on with it. Can't figure it out. Kodak can't figure it out either. We don't have all the technology we have today. For guys like me, this stuff is gold, right? It's actual evidence. I'm going to show you what that picture looks like. However, bless you, the picture is cursed to females. Females that handle the picture will start to feel the same symptoms back at Big John's. So I'm going to ask as I bring the tablet around, please do not touch the tablet. Females that are pregnant and handling the picture, even on your cell phones, will probably not have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story. So, in the event something actually pops up of evidence from that story, I will always put a heated warning on the link so that way nobody is actually touching it on their phones. So, the apparition, just so you can see it, is a woman wearing a shawl and then the baby basket next to her. That is the actual photo that he took. You can see that's the full photo.
In the cemetery.
In the cemetery right up there. So, woman wearing a shawl, that's her back, and then the baby basket next to her. So, that's the full picture. Blow it up. You have a woman wearing a shawl, this is her back, and then the baby basket. So again, that's what they're all talking about up there. Of course, they drag it out for 15 minutes because it's their big finale. So, do I have evidence of that story? I do. If I call her Susan, the name Sue will almost be guaranteed to come up. So when I was starting this tour and I was calling her Susan all the time, the name Sue showed up all the time, almost like her correcting me. So, one last thing before we go over to the gunpowder magazine. You guys see the burning gas lamp up in the distance? That's called the Pirate House. You can't miss it. It has a big anchor on the front of it. Don't go in his backyard either looking for ghosts. He also gets pissed off. Don't ask me how I know these things. So, with that said, that's where Blackbeard's men would come off their ships, have a place to stay, meet with a few ladies, have a place, a few drinks. They dug a tunnel from the Pirate House 1 block away to Dock Street Theater. Dock Street Theater at the time was called Planters Hotel. It was a whorehouse, a playhouse, and a hotel. Obviously, the whorehouse was an attraction for pirates, but the playhouse, they would actually go up there to work behind stage, backstage, because they tie really good knots. They work with ropes really well. They would make a few bucks in between bartering with the locals. So, very interesting piracy history here in Charleston. It wasn't even something I wanted to go through, but after I got booted out of Philly Alley, I kind of had to reroute things. I learned a lot about pirates. So, let's go talk about this female pirate across the street before you guys get sleepy sitting down.
You said we're on Church?
Yeah, this is Church Street.
Which direction is 66? That way?
Yes, you talk to them.
And if we have another earthquake, like what I told you about back in 1886, you can tighten up the turnbuckles little by little, and it'll actually straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason why I point them out is because it's the very first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston actually put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. Notice I said government building, not oldest building. So we're going to talk about that too. I told you guys about the Charlestown walls earlier. This is the road. This is where the walls were, right? So it went right past the powder magazine and then started going south towards the battery. The reason for that is it locked the powder magazine into the corners of where the walls were. In the event that it gets attacked from cannon 3 blocks away, it's going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. But let's say it goes all the way through and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof underneath those red shingles from 1712. But just behind that, the sand will go up in the air and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. Great idea, right? Doesn't work either. So, this one's never been attacked. Why do we know that that doesn't work? We had another powder magazine, sand went up, fell, building burned to the ground. So, it's no longer there. So, I bring up all of this history on one little building because this is a government building. So we're going to fast forward to this building that's familiar, 1713. 1715, pirates are coming through town. She's pretty stoked. She wants her freedom as a woman, and this is what she wants. She falls in love pretty quickly. First guy she meets, his name is James Bonney. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate, so they move to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonney, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. So when she gets there, this is not Captain Jack Sparrow. This is not the guy she wanted, right? He's not this kind of pirate. He's a privateer, so he's basically a hired gun for the British. He's a spy. He's a coward in her eyes. So, it's not what she wanted. She falls in love again a few years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name, much younger guy. This is the Captain Jack Sparrow guy that she wanted. He has his own ship. He's called Calico Jack because he wears the jackets of the men he kills. He's a very dapper young filthy pirate, and this is who she falls in love with. She has to be part of the crew. Females curse pirate ships. You cannot have a girl on the crew. he makes a deal with her. Instead, he says, you can dress like part of the crew and hide your gender, and we're all good to go. You could be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it goes. So she's okay with this cross-dressing bit because Dad used to hide her as a boy back in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she says, okay, let's do this. Now she's a pirate. Being a female in his quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. Of course she does. That's what happens. You can't have a pregnant pirate guy on the crew. It's not going to work. Somebody's going to figure it out. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine. They're going to help you out. Come back. We'll figure it out later. She has the baby, returns with no child. We have no idea what happened to that first baby. As far as what else happened is she came back dressed as a female. She no longer gives a damn about hiding her gender, and this makes Jack mad. Jack just captured another pirate crew, and to make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting. We're on guy number 3, in case y'all lost track. The guy she's flirting with turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females doing the exact same thing on the same pirate ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She convinces Mary to become part of the crew, and the British find out where they are. It's not very good. They send their entire fleet to come in and basically take one little pirate ship. All the men, including Calico Jack, are too drunk to come up and fight. So it's Anne and Mary with their muskets, 1-bullet muskets, up top trying to defend its ships. Obviously they're going to get taken. So as Calico Jack was getting arrested, Anne's last words were, you should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. So the word dog will show up from time to time. So obviously they're all arrested. The judge tries and hangs Calico Jack and all his men pretty quickly. A few days later, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. They go up in front of the judge, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female, right? He's not going to try to save them. So they say, we plead our bellies, which meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. It was a smart move. So he delays their hanging and sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in Charleston with his Irish money, because remember, he was an attorney. He bails her out, brings her back home. She remarries guy number 4, because yes, we're counting Mary, and has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. Again, lots of holes in this story. As far as what happened to Mary Reed, she died a year later, 1721, in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. So, you can ask whatever you want to in here, Spirit Box people. So, whatever you guys want to do. The only 2 facts that I left out are the name of Calico Jack's ship, so if you want to start there, and or the name of Anne Bonny's parents. So those are 2 very common names as well. So I have a picture of Anne so you guys can get the gist of who the heck we're actually looking for and who we're talking to here. Cameras, you can go to the very front of the building if you'd like, just don't interrupt the other tours. Here's Calico Jack, by the way. The photo. This was not a husband. They never married because he tried to buy the dowry from James Bonny, and Bonny refused. So that was Calico Jack. As far as Mary, or Anne, that's Anne. So she was a badass. Guns a-blazing. What is going on here? We lost everything. Again, I didn't use this tablet before. This is kind of new. I like giving you guys visuals. This is really cool. So that was what Anne looked like. That kind of gives you the gist of who we're trying to talk to here. But again, cameras, if you want to go in the front, just don't interrupt other tours. Yes, you can put your lasers in the front on. Just don't go above. You will be in somebody's living room. So just kind of keep that in mind. Spirit Box is loud and proud. EMF meters. If you get anything, I'll be stoked, just because this is not the beautiful mansion street. So again, we never know what's going to actually occur here. So let's spread out and get you fixed up. We're going to change out your battery. Yep, usually does when we get here.
One of my questions, what's the name of the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Oil change?
Oil change? I'm getting a cold spot. Should I be getting them? All over there. Patricia. Cold spots.
Can't kill the beat.
Cold spots, see? There's Trisha. And I get these cold spots in their 70s, like the ghost is by her.
Oh, there's this one. There's this good. Oh.
That's a hot spot.
Oh.
That's the plant on the wall. We're looking for cold spots. I looked up Anne Bonny. She's, all that, what he said was pretty much true. Except
Premier
at
sponsor.
except at the cemetery, They put up a sign in Phillips Cemetery that says, "The only ghost here is the Holy Ghost. Come to Mass," you know, or whatever. Said that on.
He said that too.
Oh. Yeah. You find anything, Trish?
Silliness. It's the most horrible radio ever. It's a spirit box.
That just came on. There's blue spots around you. Coldness, which means ghost.
You on FM or Bluetooth?
I'm on Ghost Radio. She heard the name Oil Change.
Oil change?
Yeah. Think it means anything?
No, not at all.
I was getting a few blue spots.
Anything you think might be relevant? Were they moving?
No, they were kind of around people. So like people were red and then there were blue spots like around the wall, and then there was a red spot which I think was the bush.
Okay.
Yeah, because like, you know, so there's some bouncing around like 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm. So I usually look for 15 degrees or more as far as the temperature drop. Like that center, it's kind of an ambient, so I kind of keep an eye on it for a minute or two just to see what range
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
going
it bounces between 90 and 75.
Right, just depends on who's walking through.
Yeah, right. But there isn't like any, there isn't any.
Again, we don't catch something every night, but we won't unless we record.
Right.
That's the whole point. How's yours going?
I'm not picking up too.
Oil change.
Oil change?
Yeah, I heard oil
What do you
change.
have coming up on yours?
Hi, psychic. Kate, speak, or chord, stranger, reward, happen.
Yeah.
Oil change.
I got nothing. You're listening to giving us much tonight at all.
No.
It's really not. And again, that's why I'm honest with you guys. There's some nights where I go through 40 terms and they're all relevant. And then other nights I get one or two little tidbits here and there. Because you just never know.
The problem rocking around here is I can't see the light on the number on the screen. It's too dark.
Oh, well, the light went out. It's not by tapping the screen. It's not touch screen.
Okay. That helps.
Yep.
Feel the ghost. Feel the ghost. Feel the ghost. What are you picking up? Besides oil
Nothing.
change.
You guys have to get into the graveyard, that's why.
Yeah, I'll go over there next.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really hard to pick up things in the parking lot. I still am picking up a dog.
Winston, what do you think? What are you thinking, buddy? What do you think?
Thinking I gotta go to the bathroom.
Me too.
Really silly
He got torts popped up. Torts
Torts and tarts?
and tarts and deposition popped up and oil change.
I can't really hear anything on this.
She got storm center, oil change.
Storm center. Fireworks several times.
I got mosquito bites.
So what does Winston do if he has to go pee in that thing? Oh, he doesn't have to go pee. No, we don't.
Well, no,
We'll let
because
him out. We know
he's so
time-wise.
constrained.
We'll definitely have to go when we get back.
He's got a prostate issue in that.
Got a wedgie issue in
He's
this.
got a wedgie issue in the
You know,
prostate.
you do think he probably should be let down.
Yeah, I
don't know
will
how
him on
much.
the way back.
Yeah, well, that will.
Right back.
Why don't we just take half an hour?
He doesn't weigh that much, does he?
He's 10 pounds.
Famous pirate, Calico Rackham Jack. Calico Jack. In the Crime Museum, John Rackham, also was an English pirate.
Sorry about that old ghost place.
His design of the famous Jolly Roger and
Well, I'm down. You got the worst again. You guys should just get
for
a
having
stroller.
2 female pirates, Mary Read and Anne Bonny in his crew.
I just thought, well, I wanted to get used to this height and walk up.
You wanted Greg to get used to this, or you wanted the dog to get used to this?
You don't know. As he's being a good boy, and it doesn't like.
I think you're trying to get Greg used to this. If he wants to hike in North Carolina.
We wanted to do a bike with a basket. What if I just told I heard something?
Right. Tell him you heard a yawn. Mine said go directly to bed. Do not fast go. AM, that is a clue. That's morning. That's morning.
Are you on Bluetooth? AM, FM? No, it's not Bluetooth. I don't know. I was pushing these buttons going, oh, look, I can go on to another. So I just wanted to.
After we left that cooking place,
Where'd he go?
I think
He's
we're
over
on
there
AM,
talking
not
to
FM.
your bride.
Nebraska girls.
No, your bride. Right.
Did see the cat.
I think the rat was a highlight of the night.
I think I stepped on it.
I think the rat was the highlight of the night.
It was a mother.
I mean, I just
Had
he
6
said
little
line up
babies.
against the wall, so I'm standing there.
It's just going out finding food for its
I don't know
baby.
what made me look down. I told the girl like,
Poor little
Watch
mama
out for
rat.
that little thing moving.
yeah. Well, that's what, when he was wiggling, I don't know, I stepped on top of it
It was almost as big as Winston.
and smushed him. You think he would have scurried away, seeing us all come? So
Yeah.
either he was
He
sick.
killed it.
Some rat poison.
He broke its spine and paralyzed it.
You've probably never killed a rat before.
No,
She's
she
still
killed
alive.
She killed the
It's
chipmunk.
just lying there, paralyzed.
Well, I ran over it on a bike. I think I killed it. I'm gonna put that on my tour.
No. She tried to move somebody.
for who, Kathy, or the chipmunk, Kathy?
Well, stupid thing kept, they were dodging.
All right, everybody, let's go wrap up on the wall. I'll start collecting devices.
All
Looks
right.
like Winston is getting his legs stretched out.
Yeah.
That's good.
So is Greg.
I'm actually going to take your guys' camera glasses and have his own pocket. Alright, so take your camera, get everybody over here, get you guys the answers to the 2 little questions. And we actually did have something come out of the 1 spirit box that's definitely relevant. Doctor's office? We're still near Philadelphia Alley. That's pretty cool.